let's talk more about spirit, shall we? When we become spiritually awoken, we wake up to our spirit and we have a discernment about spirits in general, and we can become acquainted with varying energy forms which dwell within us. And if we monitor these energy forms, spirits, closely, then we will be aware of how their energy manifests, when it manifests, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whether it's constructive, whether it's destructive, whether it is always there or whether it comes about in certain realms when required. There are many spirits, and I've spoken about I have a fighting spirit within me. It's the spirit of a Viking, and you know, I have deployed this professionally in my life, fighting with other modern day Vikings. Because my style of karate, we used to compete with other European countries, mostly, sometimes globally, but mostly European, and the strongest opponents would be the Norwegians or the Swiss, Swedish, those Nordic, those Viking-esque countries. Norway, that's where the Vikings come from, people. Norway. And so I fought many Norwegians, Vikings, and you know, when I first started fighting, I was fighting at lightweight. I was 70 kilos, and I fought some pretty tough little dudes for 70 kilos. And then I went up and I fought before 80 kilos, and anything over 80 kilos is heavyweight. I'm now weighing at like 88 kilos, so I'm well into the heavyweight now, but I never fought at heavyweight. And so that's one variety of spirit. And when you want that spirit, when you call upon that spirit, it is there in an instant. And whenever you see these grunt training schools, you know, for American GIs and infantry and all that sort of thing, they're asked to show their warrior face. And then they say, show me your warrior face. And some people go, show me your fucking... You think that's a warrior face? This is the warrior face. And the sergeant major gets in their face, you know, bursting out his breath all over his face and fucking spit and everything. And then he says, that's a warrior face. Now show me yours. Because if you can't show me your fucking warrior face when you are out on that battlefield, you're fucked, mate. You've got to call on this warrior face, which is your spirit. And so when I was going to competition, I was as cool as a cucumber, right until I got onto the dojo mat. Then when I got onto the dojo mat and I took my bow and I entered into my stance, I went, yeah! It's called a kiai. Kiai! And that's when you mean business. Now people are walking up here thinking like this dude's mad, man. But that's what you have to do. And when you do that, you summon the spirit, you summon the energy. The energy comes to the forefront and it's there and it's deployable. Sports people will know about this. And for instance, when we've all heard the stories when a woman's had a car accident, the car's turned over, a child's trapped between the car and the ground or in the car, and the woman lifts the car. What lifts the car? The spirit lifts the car, people. And so there's myriad of stories about spirits achieving miracles. And so we have to know that they dwell within us. We have to know that we can deploy them. And for most people, they are not apparent. They don't recognize them. They don't observe them. They don't study them. And the last thing they want to do is accept them, because they find it too terrifying. But the fact of it is, look, this human body isn't the thing that can do anything. It can't do nothing without the electricity, which comes via some level of spirit. And I'm kind of confused as to what levels there are in relation to spirits, because there's some very, very powerful ones. Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, all these different sorts of warriors, real awesome spirits. And then there's much weaker ones. And I don't know what it is that gives life to these automaton. A very weak spirit. They're very weak. They will achieve very little in their lives because their spirit has got no power. So there's a variance in the power of spirits, and I know all my life I've had a very powerful one, and it's enabled me to achieve everything I've ever set out to achieve. And so when we look at what we do, the spirit of a parent. As soon as we become parents, something changes in us. And it's kind of like, fuck, I'm a parent. And all of a sudden you become super caring, super protective, and super doting, and doing everything for this child. And, you don't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is that child. That's the spirit of a parent, because it's absolutely imperative that you give all of your energy to ensure that that life form gets through its formative years. And so spirits will manifest in many, many ways, but also then they will manifest in negative ways, whereby there's a spirit which just wants to eat. How do you make? It just wants to be gluttonous. There's a spirit which wants to be lazy. There's spirits that want to fight. There's spirits that want to be argumentative. And so I'm going to be speaking to you now about the prevalent, prominent spirit within me, which gives rise to these obnoxious rants, demeaning rants, belittling rants, offensive rants. And this spirit, this character, wants to destroy relationships between me and you. And it has a higher level of acceptance because it knows that my overall spirit needs the peace, tranquility and solitude. And so there's a relationship that my higher self has with this obnoxious variety. And I even have a name for him. He's called Supercilious. Supercilious means when you are haughty and condescending. And so I've known that I have carried or worked with, offer a home to Supercilious for many years. And he serves me because he protects me. And he protects me from being inundated, which I would be if I didn't deploy him. Because of my charismatic spirit, it's a very attractive spirit, and all my life people have enjoyed being around me, engaging with me, and they find me enthralling and fascinating, and they've always marvelled at my positive attitude and my energy. And everywhere I go, even just in the gym, I engage people in the changing rooms, and I start talking to them, and their jaw drops. Their jaw drops on the level in which I speak, because they have very seldom encountered anybody that just engages people in such a deep and obscure way of speaking. And it's kind of like, woo, vaguely they've heard something, a bit similar to that. It's kind of like, woo, wow, where'd you get that from? And all this sort of stuff. And they're mostly, they can be a little bit intrigued by it, but they're afraid of it also, because it is too out there, it's too outlandish. But when I meet people that have a little bit of knowledge and they are higher spiritually, then of course, well, we'll speak forever, and this is what happens. Where's he gone? And so yeah, this supercilious. Whenever I'm building my channel and I'm getting quite a lot of subscribers and interest, then supercilious will take hold of the helm, and he will not destroy. He doesn't destroy, because invariably I'll never lose any subscribers, one or two, at the absolute most, but they are very, very quickly replaced with like 5 or 10, because people, they find supercilious very intriguing, and for lots of reasons, because people would be fairly bewildered when they see that character. They can see this character most days, and they can see a very loving, endearing facet of me, usually when I'm with animals, but you don't ever see me engaging with people, so you don't see it when I'm with people. But I can be very endearing, and I often used to sit down with this 88 little old woman in her apartment and, like I say, run errands for her and have a chat, and I even had a tear in my eye one day when she was being taken away, and I thought I'd never see her again. I thought this time she's going to die, but she didn't. She came back. But I always call her the bitch that comes back. It's the bitch that always comes back. The old bitch that always comes back. But she's called Kathy, and she's fully compos mentis, and she's all right. She's in her home now, but she'll probably keep kicking till be 100 years old. And so I think I'm going to go through the golf course this time, because this video might be quite long, and it's more scenic anyway, and it's less noisy. So yeah, supercilious. What supercilious does, he has to get rid of people who don't have the potential to work with what I say, and people who are going to be very, very highly confused, like the Shrinking Violets, like the Love and Lighters, like the Drones. Whenever they fall upon my channel, then Christians, supercilious has to get rid of them, because I don't want the channel bogging down with their nonsense. It's tedious, it's too much work for me to look at their stupid comments, and then I feel compelled to engage with them, and ultimately have them leave of their own accord, or I will throw them into the snake pit. So I have to keep cleansing the channel, because there's only a certain variety of energy that my spirit wants or requires, or I don't know what it is. And you could say, well, give people a chance, and you're all evolving at their own rates, and this, that, and the other. Well, it's above me. It's above me, the ego. I don't make decisions on these things. Spirit makes these decisions. And because supercilious doesn't get too carried away, he's not evil in the slightest. He projects negative energy. That's what he does. Just enough to perturb the weak. Because the strong won't be perturbed by supercilious, because the strong don't feel intimidated by him, and they will even find him amusing and funny, and many things he says, many of you will agree with supercilious. This is why supercilious always gets more engagement, many more comments, and often more likes, but never any less likes than my average videos. And so I've always found that very intriguing, because although lots of people in the past, they wouldn't feel too inclined to engage in comments with a supercilious video because they feel that maybe they are being contaminated, or they are complicit with what supercilious says, because most of you are not complicit with lots of what supercilious says, but you do have an attraction, you do enjoy the energy. And that's the thing about it. And even people, when they're affronted by supercilious, they still have an attraction and an addiction to the energy. And I look into that and I go, well, why is that? Is it because everybody is so oppressed these days? Everybody's on the point of being cancelled, terrified of being cancelled. Everybody is hunting for security, for likes and subscribes. Whereas none of us spirits are interested in subscribes or likes. I'm not interested in the likes because I want you to like me and to like what I say, because I'm saying it and I want some sort of gratitude or appreciation. I want to see that you're getting it. That's what I want to see. When you put a like up, I want to see that you are thinking in the similar sort of way. But when I only get like maximum really of 20% people who engage, then there's another 80 in every 100 which don't see eye to eye. Because if you see eye to eye with a video, then that's the first impulse, isn't it? You agree with that, so you're going to put your thumb down to let them know that you're in agreement, you see. But most people, they need to assimilate what I say, because what I say is too deep. It goes vastly below the everyday perception and cognition of the ego. The higher self needs to contemplate and think and assess what I am saying. And so many of you have said, but fuck, I often feel like commenting, but like, I don't know where to start. You just say so much and it's just overwhelming. Yeah, when I'm speaking for an hour, I'm saying a lot of things. And so what some people do, they pause the video whenever they have been inspired to say something, and then they'll say something and they'll put a timestamp next to it, and then they'll go on and they'll do it again and something like that. But if you listen to the whole video and then you think, fuck, what can I comment on? By the time it's all gone cloudy, and so you don't know, so you don't. But supercilious serves me. And I consider that supercilious also serves many of the viewers, because many of you say you come to this channel for the rants, you come for the vitriol, and whenever I'm ranting, even if you are not in agreement with what I'm ranting about, you like the energy. The energy is something that's very inspiring to you. It's very refreshing, it's free, it's powerful, and it's wholesome. It's not an evil, negative energy. Supercilious says negative things, and some people can be affronted or offended by these things, but it's not coming from a negative, evil place. And as soon as I finish the video, I'm just as calm as before I started it, and then I can pick up my guitar and sing and do any number of things. I don't carry any weight. There's no weight to supercilious. There's just an expression which needs to be said at a point in time, and then as soon as it's said, it's said. Now, how many of us would relish if we could have an argument with somebody like that? If you can have an argument with your partner, just to air something, just to get it out, to deal with it, and then forget about it. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? But women mostly, they harbour resentment. And women, they always store everything up, don't they? They store it up. And then, if you spilled the cup of tea on her favourite pink rug 3 months ago, well, you'll get that in an argument, and you'll go, fuck me, that was 3 months ago. But they've been storing it all up. That's what they do. But if we could only just say it and let it go, then that would be a beautiful thing. And if we can say without any emotion, if we can release these things without having the emotional attachments, without projecting our emotions onto people, you know, I can say a whole array of things about the human being. And then, you know, if I, you know, should come upon someone in the next few steps and, you know, the old person falls over or something, then, you know, I'll be there to even carry them home. And, you know, even give them CPR if required. On a one-to-one basis, that's the level of human I am. But things need to be said in general about people's erroneous thoughts, and so Supercilious brings it home very, very plainly, and so that's why I deploy him. And you know, it's really difficult being an educator. Or I'm an educator, people. That's why you watch my videos. I mean, some of you have said in the past, oh, I watch your videos for entertainment. Well, that's because you're too stupid then. Because if you don't consider you being educated with every one of my videos, then you're daft as a fucking brush. Or you're just too arrogant to admit that you watch my videos because I'm brighter than you. I'm a whole lot smarter. You know, so, you know, people start arguing with me like this. And I'm like, hang on. You're watching my videos. You don't have to watch my videos. Why do you do this and you do that? And I'm like, well, go away then. If you don't like it, if you're upset, go away. You know, it's nothing personal. I don't know you. You see, people think that I know them. Just because they think that they know me from watching my videos, they think that I know them. And it's paradoxical. It's ridiculous how people get this into their minds, and then they start to speak to me as if I'm really personally got a vendetta or victimizing them, persecuting them, punishing them. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're just a fucking few fucking digits on the computer. That's all you are. Cheapers creepers. And now you're acting as if, you know, you're my fucking my partner, or you're my what do you call these people that share a flat with you? Whatever they are called. Yeah, you think you're one of those. And I'm like, well, it's not like you can't leave. It really isn't like every time you walk into the lounge, I'm going to be there. And when you go to use the toilet, you know, I could be coming out. No, I only manifest when you click on my channel. So don't click on it if it causes you too much pain. Simple, isn't it? But you see, people, they have this addiction and they can't not leave. They get obsessed. And then, you know, they want to change me, and they want to tell me how they want me to be. And then they say, well, if you was like this and if you was like that, you'd have a lot more viewers, and, you know, people would be much more, you know, endearing with you. And I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm like this. So where's the problem? It's not with me. The problem isn't with me. I'm perfectly fine with me, with us. The problem evidently is yours. So you deal with your problem. And by the way, that's what my videos are about. You dealing with you and your problems, not mine. You see, I talk about my experience a great deal. But I'm always saying to you, look, I can only talk about me or us as individuated spirits with the experience that I'm privy to. I can't talk to how you live your life and your spirits. But if you look at how I speak about my spirits, look for your own spirits. Look for your own shadow. Look for your own ego. Look inside your heart and your body and contemplate and meditate and question everything. And if you do that, then you'll learn an enormous amount from my videos. You know, that's all I can say really. And so when I'm deploying Supercilious and supercilious comes about, and it's kind of like, oh, supercilious. And then I'm kind of like, supercilious says, I'm going to have a right fucking rant today. I'm going to fucking give it them today. I'm going to say this and say that. And I'm like, really? Haven't we been there before? It's kind of like, well, yeah, but you need to keep telling the fucking idiots because they've got minds like fucking goldfish. And I'm like, yeah, well, there is that. Well, what are you going to say? Oh, I'm just going to tell them how they're fucking stupid, shrinking violet, fucking cowards, and, you know, they're not even fucking real and all that sort of stuff. Really? What do you think that's going to accomplish? And then supercilious go, fuck, what's it going to accomplish? They just got to know. They'll deal with whatever they're going to accomplish. And then I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, if you say that, then, you know, you might shock a few people into waking up. I suppose that's benefit. And if you upset people, or if they think you upset them, they upset themselves, but if they think you upset them, then they'll leave. And that will be a good thing, because there's nothing here for them. If they can't deal with supercilious, there's nothing here for them. Because you see, supercilious is like a representation of my shadow. It's the meanie aspect of me. If and when I want to be mean, I can say some cruel things. And, you know, I've always been renowned for having a rapier tongue, a very sharp tongue. And people have always said, don't fuck with Aaron. Fucking hell. As soon as his fucking tongue gets unleashed, he'll fucking destroy you. Yeah, because I'll be saying things that they know is true deep down, but they've always kept hidden in their shadow. So my shadow will attack their shadow. But because they haven't got a relationship with their shadow, it would be shocking to them. But you see, anybody can say anything to me about any of the traits that they think I have, and I'll go, well, I mean, it's not me per se, it's us. And so who are you talking about? Are you talking about supercilious? Or are you talking about a higher level of consciousness? Are you talking about the cosmic consciousness aspect of what's dwelling in here? Or are you talking about the nice guy, Aaron, that, you know, has making these videos for the past 14 years to help people? Lots of people get confused. And then they watch one of my videos and then they go, oh, I can see who you are now. Well, fuck me, could you never see who I was for the last fucking 200 videos that you watched? You must be a fucking idiot. You've been wasting your time. Fuck off. Yeah, I'm just playing, people. I'm just fucking playing. Because when people, look, you need to be a highly spirited person if you're going to be able to see what I am, what we are. Because if you are not a highly spirited, multiply spirited, complex person, then you can't recognize that in another person. You need to have it in yourself to be able to recognise it in another person. Otherwise, all you're going to see, that guy's a psychopath, that guy's a sociopath, because you've read a few pamphlets on fucking psychopathology or some sort of fucking social miscreant or some fucking thing in one of these newfangled fucking silly therapy books that's all vogue at this moment in time. But, you know, people don't know they're fucking born. And the stupid therapy that they're talking about these days, which mostly is cognitive behavioural therapy, it's just like, it's fucking around with the icing on a cake. And someone comes to you and they've got a little bit of a fucking crack in the icing on the cake, and then you're like, as a therapist, oh, we'll just put a bit more icing over there and just forget about it, don't give it too much attention. And that's the length and breadth of it. But in the old days, you know, you get Freudian and Jungian psychology, they'd be looking into your fucking soul. They'd be looking into your spirits, and then they'd be imparting stuff like that. But it's too terrifying for the vast majority of people, and it's vastly too complex. And you know, only the oldest of souls or the most developed of minds, and, you know, people like that are going to be able to deal with that stuff. And you know, that's the difficulty. And when we're learning these days about the vast difference of the human psyche, you know, is it any wonder why everybody's really struggling? And, you know, I've spoken to so many people, and they tell me about this video, or I send them a video and I say, look, I'll talk to you about the video I see next. And then I see this person and I go, well, let's talk about that video then. So what did you make of it? And he goes, well, remind me again. I'm like, remind you? It was fucking last night. What's wrong with you? And it was a very important video. Yeah, oh yeah, well, I mean, well, just give me a clue. And I'm like, well, what bit about this, that and the other? It's kind of like, yeah, go on. And I'm like, oh, you don't remember at all, do you? You just didn't absorb it. And it's like, what the fuck? When I watch a video, I remember almost every fucking word. I remember the whole fucking theme, and I go off on a whole myriad of tangents on the fucking subject matter, and I'm very, very thoroughly familiar with it. And then when I'm ready to speak to somebody about it, they haven't got a fucking clue because they've forgotten already. But not only that, they just haven't registered anything because the level of intellect just didn't fucking think about those things. And so when I'm walking with people, like I'm standing here now, I'll say to them, look around and tell me what you see. It's not a quick fucking, it's not a trick fucking thing, what I'm saying. I'm just asking you what you see. I'm interested in what you see. Well, it's a graveyard. Graves, trees. Well, what? I'm like, well, don't you see anything else? Well, go on then. As if say, oh, Mr. Know-it-all, Mr. Insightful. And I'm like, well, fucking hell. Let me just start here, shall we? And I'll tell you all the hues and the colours and the light shining on there and the way that leaf's flickering on there and the way that bark is shining over there and the way that bark is smooth over there and the way that bark is, it's got the ridges going around it this way and that bark over there's got it going down there. And then we'll look down there, we've got a group of fucking little daisies and then we don't have any around, but then you've got 3 sitting there alone. And I go on like this, I go on and on and on and on and on and on about what I recognise and what I see. And then I go, look, if you look down there between those 2 gravestones, you'll see a bead of water on a blade of grass. And can you see that it's all the colours in the rainbow shining back to us? And I'm in another world, people. I'm actually physically in another world. Mentally in another world. I'm in my world. My world is a very, very nuanced and complex world, and it's got an enormous amount of details where the vast majority of people that don't gather anything like the data that I do. And so when I watch this movie, Lucy, I'm like, that's me. When she's got that package burst in her stomach and then all of a sudden she starts to see everything's in data, and I'm like, well, of course we don't see it in binary, that would be very boring. We see the details, and the details are the qualia of consciousness and the subtle nuances, and there's so many variances and beautiful things, and it's not just what we see, it's what we hear, and it's what we feel. We actually feel something emitting from a tree or a bush or a flower or something. We can walk into different arenas, whether it's a garden or whether it's a wood, and we feel a difference. How many of you feel this, see this? And so when I was down in Portugal and I'm making all these videos about all the things that I'm bringing your attention to, people are like, fuck, you fucking opened my eyes up to the world, now I look at the world different. It's like, wow. And, there's another one more just before I wrap this video up. When I'm down in the Algarve with Patrick, Patrick spent like 5 months with me down there, and we saw each other every day for about 8 hours a day, and of course we never stopped talking because he and I are very, very close. But of course there's differences, and so when I'm walking around with him, I wanted to know where his consciousness was, because when I'm speaking to somebody, my consciousness isn't just in a tunnel vision, concentrating on what the other person's saying. That's water off a duck's back. I can do that all fucking day long. I can juggle, I can blow a fucking trumpet, and I can blow balls out my arse at the same time, and I won't lose any of the details. So whilst I'm walking with him, my consciousness is everywhere. It's on the wind and the hairs on my body, it's on the temperature of the sun, it's on the direction of the sun, it's on the texture of the earth beneath my feet, the sand beneath my feet, and I'm listening to the waves crashing down, I'm listening to all the different birds and everything. Everything that's going on, I'm like data. I'm gathering all this data. So what happens to me when I'm walking around? So I said to him, okay, let's walk off the boardwalk and let's go on the beach. So we go on the beach, we take our sandals off, and as soon as I step into the beach, I have a conscious explosion in my feet. And the feet really enjoy and explore all the texture of all the sands. That was one of the joys for me every day when I'd walk on that beach in the Algarve 3 times a day. I spent hours and hours, and depending whether I was on the dry fluffy sand or I was on the hard wet sand, or whether I was on the fluffy sand which had just had one wave washed over it and then it had retreated at the height of the tide, and there was only just a faint crust of dried sand, and when you put your feet through the crust it goes through the crunchiness and it goes into the softness, and all different sorts of depths which you tap into. Well, my consciousness was involved in experiencing every single one of those. So just as we took our shoes off, I said, you always got these fucking idiot kids. As soon as you got your camera, I should carry a pair of boxing gloves around with me, and I'll just go up to them and go, put them on. I'll get these boxing gloves out and I'll go, put them on. Put them on. You fucking mouthy over there, put them on. See how they want to fucking mouth off. But you see, we're in this arena now where nobody smacks any fucker anymore. You know, when I was growing up, nobody get away with that. Everywhere I went, all the villages and everything like that, nobody would be fucking mouthing off. And if you did ever go to a new village and someone mouthed off at you, you'd go and get your fucking mates, you'd be back within an hour, and then you'd be fucking rooking in the street. That's just how it was everywhere. It was like that at school, it was like that, you know, all through my fucking growing up. In the pubs, going to a nightclub, you would never ever go to a nightclub without 20 fights. Blood all over the place, bouncers running all over the fucking place, cops outside and everything. That's just how it is. But now you just got gobby little fucking twats all over the place because there's no discipline, and nobody can thump one of these cunts without going to jail for 2 fucking years. And so it's all going pear-shaped. You see, in the old days, when coppers could beat people up, they'd get hold of a robber or, you know, miscreant and this, that and the other, and they'd rough them up. And, you know, Sweeney style, for those of you that are reasonably long in the tooth in Britain, the cops show Sweeney, or even the professionals, they get hold of them and they boof in the stomach. They put them down and this, that and the other. Now you can't lay a finger on them. Otherwise you'd end up going to fucking jail if you're a copper. Anyway, I digressed. So I said to Patrick, as soon as we stepped off the boardwalk into the sand, I said, tell me where your consciousness is. And he said, with you. We were just talking about this and the other. And I said, is it anywhere else? And he's like, no. I'm like, so it isn't in your feet, it isn't in your skin, it isn't in your hair blowing a little bit in the breeze. And it's kind of like, oh, now it is. But it wasn't. And I'm like, well, that's the difference. My consciousness is everywhere all the time, whereas most people's consciousness is focused down to a very narrow parameter. And that's why they can walk around anywhere and they won't notice anything. And they'll very easily get lost because they've never paid attention to where they are walking. So what I've always done all my life is whenever I've gone anywhere, which is new to me because I'm such a prolific traveller, everywhere I go, after every 100 yards, I'll always turn back around and look from where I've come because it looks completely different. You see, if you look up a street from this direction, you see all the signs and stuff facing this way. But if you go that way and look back this way, then the chances are you're going to see a very different depiction, and then you're not going to recognize it. So what I've always done when I've been walking up a path from the mountain or a wood or anything like that, I've turned around and I've made a conscious effort of that bench is there on the right and that blackboard there's on the left, and then you've got the yellow bush and the green bush. Okay, cool, and I've been there, and so I'll go up there and I'll do that everywhere I go. It's like being Hansel and Gretel, leaving a trail, only I leave a trail of images which I've recorded. And so how many people do that? How many of you have ever done that? Yeah.